Alrighty, March 18th, 2020. Still doesn't matter what day it is. And here's a little bit of a breakdown of the Mission Tobacco Lounge set. The other one at Wagon Wheel was all over the place, so I'm gonna see if I can just do it in one chunk. I signed up for Postmates, so if that thing goes off, I am gonna go make that money. But till then, let's do a little bit of an analysis. I forgot to say, before I do my little breakdown, to set the stage, set the room, Mission Tobacco Lounge is a strange place to do comedy. It feels like it'd be better for a band. The stage is pretty high, and the space, it just feels like it'd be really good for like a punk rock show. But so I'm on stage, and I think there's maybe two dudes in the front, and then in the middle of my set, two girls start sitting in the front. The bar's pretty full with, I'd say, about 7 or 8 people. There's some dudes over by the pool table, which is in the far left in the back. They're doing their own thing, so really had to earn their attention. At some point, I know I have an interaction with one of them. Then there was maybe 3 or 4 ladies in the back, and then comics spread out. So that was kind of the vibe of the room. It's a really big space. There's also like a balcony level where you can watch from there, but there wasn't enough people for that. So it's definitely not an easy room to do. There's a weird vibe to it, but let's continue.
All right, taking the main stage now. Where we at here? All right. Taking the main stage now, we got Aaron Chase, everyone. Aaron Chase.
What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? Okay. Anyway,
All right, so off the top, interacting with, first off, what a wonderful intro. It made me feel like a famous person. But off the top, we got a dude. I've seen him before, just in downtown Riverside in general. I've had conversations with that guy before, and I was watching him as the show was going on, and he wasn't heckling in the traditional sense. He wasn't like trying to make anyone feel bad. He was one of those guys who just wanted to be part of the show, wanted to feel involved. He wasn't a bad guy. And so there's a moment where he was talking with someone else, and they were talking about having sex with dogs or something. I can't remember what it was. At some point I referenced that. In terms of my reaction to it, I'm glad that I moved forward. My mentality going in was like, I need to just get on these jokes quick because I'm going to lose them real fast. So I just plowed through, and I'm really glad that didn't immediately snowball into a mess. So I think that I made the right decision to just let that one go straight to material.
anybody having sex tonight?
Yeah.
I heard nope. I respect your decision of safety. This corona shit is modern AIDS. I get it. All right, how about this? Did you guys get to talk when you were kids? Did your parents talk to you about sex when you were kids? Yeah, you gotta learn it free range. I respect that. I didn't know anything about sex when I was a kid. I didn't know anything about sex, so I would just make up shit to seem cool to the other kids. I would start rumors. I'd be like, yo, you guys, did you hear? I saw Robert holding Brittany's hand without a condom. I know, man, what if he catches HDMI? What a fucking idiot.
All right, so one of the things I've been doing is that whole acting out, starting the rumor thing. I've been actively acting that out. Before I would just kind of say it, and now I've been acting more childlike when I say it, and that seems to be working. Seems to be pulling in. And if you compare this to what I was doing at Wagon Wheel, there was a lot more pauses in between moments to let people take in the information, and that silence was good. I think that was good, that they're still engaged, that they weren't talking over me. From what I saw from some of the other comics, if they lost them, the audience would just start yammering to each other, and it was done. So, a little bit of a clunky start. I know I got to laugh on the HDMI thing. That tag usually works. And let's see what happens from here.
Dude, I didn't know shit about that. I had to learn about sex on the playground with the rest of the degenerates. And that's not where you need to learn about sex, because you're going to learn all the wrong information. Like, for the longest time, I thought the scientific word for the slide was the fallopian tube, which come to realize was not the case. I thought, like, an ultrasound was a finishing move in Dragon Ball Z, which would have been way cooler in my opinion. Thought LGBTQ was just like an underground rap group. It was like Wu-Tang Clan, but with more rainbows and lip gloss. Like, it was hard shit. Like, I didn't know shit about it. Okay, look, I'm 28 now. I'm single, and I think I'm understanding myself. Like, I think I'm understanding the difference between love and lust. Now, here's what I mean. Love is like a hug. It's warm, it's sweet, it's intimate. And lust is like a hug, but stickier. Okay. Lust is like a hug that Jesus wouldn't give you, but your Catholic priest might. Don't get mad at the people raping kids. Don't get mad at me. I'm just writing the jokes.
So that love versus lust bit usually gets a reaction, whether it's laughter or kind of shock. It gets some sort of reaction, which is good. But I need to, and it always gets that same reaction. The Jesus part always gets that same reaction, and I need to stop acknowledging people's reaction to it. I was watching Tom Segura, one of his older specials. He was talking about like a girl with two heads or something. I don't know. He was doing really offensive stuff, and people's reaction. People were clearly reacting to it, not in a bad way, but they were taken aback. And you could see it in his face that he is aware of what's going on, but he never talked about it. He never really acknowledged it. And I think I need to find that line of when to acknowledge something like that and when to not. And I don't think this is a situation to acknowledge it. I think it just made it needlessly awkward.
No, man. I think I'm figuring it out. And I remember. Do you guys remember your first relationship? Like, do you remember, how old were you guys? You can yell it out. I don't mind. 15. How old? What else? 20. Wait, 20? 40. That makes sense. I heard something about you fucking dogs earlier, and I was like, yeah, 40 seems about right. Figure that out.
Alrighty, so two things. First thing is, I like the way that I engage the audience for crowd work. I think there was a point where I said it like, how old were you? You can yell it out. The way I worded that, I think made the audience feel comfortable and made them understand that my intent with asking them wasn't to attack them or make them uncomfortable. I'm just getting information. And I think that fits my style a little more. I see comics who go out there and they're like, hey, you, and they point at people and like, you're a fucking idiot and your hair is stupid or whatever they do. But I just I'm not likable that way. People fucking hate me when I get aggressive like that. So I think that the way I approached the audience with that type of crowd work worked. And then it made it even easier for me to go after the guy who said 40. That was the same guy who yelled out earlier, because I think the audience is aware, like, I wasn't out to attack anybody or make jokes about anybody until they come after me in some way. So I think that's a smart move on my part. As for the reaction, I think, I got to laugh and I'm happy about that. But that was a moment. It's so funny. I listened back to it and I'm like, oh, I could have tagged the shit out of that. All the stuff that I was talking about with KJ and the tagging and the poking fun, like as soon as I heard it back, I was like, holy shit, I could have expanded on that for a good 5 minutes, and I know I could have. But in the moment, and part of it was that I knew I wanted to get into material, but in the moment, it just doesn't click that fast. It's like, I don't know. I thought on it for a second, and I still don't know how to put it into words. Maybe just more stage time, getting more comfortable will help. But as soon as it happened, it was like I knew I could have latched onto it, but I just didn't. I didn't grab it. It's all right. I don't know if anybody here fishes, but imagine you have the fish on the hook, and then you fuck up in some way. Yeah, that was not a good metaphor. I don't know anything about fishing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I was about 15, and I'm a romantic. I took my relationship way too seriously. Like when I was 15, I thought I was in love. And I also thought that I was going to be famous by 20, and that FUBU would never go out of style. So, yeah. I think what we've learned is 15-year-olds don't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to love. I feel like you can't say you're in love until you're an adult. And you're not an adult until you pay taxes and Christmas gives you anxiety. You know you crossed the threshold at that point. No, I took it. Dude, no 15-year-old should ever utter the words commitment. Yeah. Like, commitment is for small business owners and dudes with face tattoos. Those are the only people that have earned the right to say they are committed to something.
All right, so the first thing I seem to be doing wrong here is the 15 in love versus 15 in commitment are essentially the same jokes. They're the same format of the jokes, and there's too similar of a rhythm in between. So I think it's diluting some of the punches. And there was more. That part where I say Christmas gives you anxiety. I don't know how to word this. This is just a feeling I have. I still don't know how to explain this to if you're a newer comic, if you're like a year in and you hear me say this, hopefully this makes sense. But the cadence, the flow of that, it leads really naturally into some good tags and some good riffing, some good ways to describe that anxiety, what that feels like on Christmas when you're an actual adult. Like one of the things I was playing with on the street with that joke was when this past Christmas, I bought something for my nephew and then my stomach growled or something. And I was going to play with that. Like I think there's when you hear that cadence, it's so frustrating. Like listening back on it, I'm like, oh, okay, I could have tagged this shit. I could have really stretched that out. So listening to that cadence, it really leans into something good there. I remember when I first met KJ, we went out to Anaheim. We hit a Father's Pub. And afterwards, we were talking in the parking lot. It was the first time he ever talked to me about comedy. And he was basically giving me the same type of advice, but this was maybe over a year ago now. And he was talking about how you have the seed that gets planted. That's kind of like the premise. And then you have this tree trunk. And the tree trunk grows, and then it branches out. And, hold up a second. All right, there we go. So the tree trunk grows and branches out. So in this situation, the seed that was planted was the premise. And the premise was essentially that you can't say that you're in love until you're an adult. That's the premise. That's the idea of it. And then the tree trunk was the joke itself, was till you pay taxes and Christmas gives you... Oh, fuck. Okay, we're good. So the tree trunk grows, right? The joke is it hits until Christmas gives you anxiety. Boom. Then branching out, then playing with that joke, it hits different branches, and those branches can continue to expand. And the expansion would be till Christmas gives you anxiety. Boom. And now expand on what that looks like and what that feels like. So, I don't know. I guess if I were to think about it right now, Christmas gives you anxiety. Boom. When you're giving your nephew his gift and then your stomach growls, so you take it back and you need to exchange it for some food money, some gas money, or I don't know. When you have to tell your nephew that, yeah, man, Santa ate all those cookies, but it was actually you because you've ran out of all your, whatever, and expanding on that and going in different directions. So I think that's just something that's going to take practice and to get better at. Like right now, I know the concept of it. I understand the idea in theory, but I just need to keep practicing it.
And I remember my first relationship. You remember what it was like? Like it felt so intense. Like I remember walking up to my girlfriend and like my palms were sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. Mom, I know you're sweating already. Dude, I'll do the whole song if you let me know.
All right. I love doing that joke. I love doing that joke because it's the sillier side of me that I don't think people understand that I have because I'm always so dour. I'm like every All right, there we go. So no, that's the sillier side of me when it come to my jokes. Like, I have this Edgar Allan Poe "woe is me" vibe all the time, and I do have a sillier side to me, and I do enjoy having fun on stage, and that is a joke that I enjoy doing. That is nice and lighthearted and gives you a break from all of the heavier, darker stuff. So I love that joke. I think I continue to run off of my punchlines, and I need to stop doing that. My setups are getting better. My setups, I play with that silence, and I play with tension a lot more. But my punchlines, I keep running over them, and I keep fucking them up, essentially.
I just took it too seriously, you know what I mean? And so I would go through dumb relationship after dumb relationship, and I would go through terrible breakups. Like, you guys have been through breakups, right? Yeah. Okay. Or you're lying to yourselves. Whatever, I don't give a shit, I'm still up here. And I think when you go through a breakup, it leaves scars. Like, I got scars on my ear from the yelling and the screaming. I got scars on my dick from Roadhead for the first time. Guys, stick shift, not the way to go about. It's like playing whack-a-mole. It's very dangerous. I wouldn't suggest it. I went through all these breakups, and I'm trying to analyze myself. I'm trying to figure out what to do next time I get into a relationship. And one of the things I've realized is that I was bringing all my emotional baggage with me. And that's, you gotta drop your fucking emotional baggage if you're gonna get into a relationship. And I think we all have baggage. We're all just carrying different weights. Okay, like some of us are carrying 50 pounds of aggressive spankings, and some of us are carrying 200 pounds of stepdad discipline. Not the good stepdad, not Steve. He gives you advice, he fucks your mom missionary out of respect. Not Steve. Steve is a good guy. I'm talking about Kent. Yeah, he dresses like a greaser from the 50s, and he treats your mom like he's a greaser from the 50s. Like, he's that guy. His idea of good morning is a backhand and a black cup of coffee. Fuck that guy.
So normally in a little chunk like this, I would say that a lot of the fat needs to be cut, and I think if any comic listens to this, they would be thinking, yeah, man, you need to cut the fat on that. But that was a moment that I experience a lot when I do street stand-up. And it is one of those things where you just got to be in the room, where even though there's not a bunch of laughs, people are really engaged and they're interested in what I'm saying. Those moments that I like in Bird Revelation, Dave Chappelle's Bird Revelation, that build-up, that discussion, where he's not joking, and you can tell he's not really joking, is still engaging. And that little chunk right there was still engaging for people. You'd had to have been in the room to see people's faces and really get the vibe, but those are moments that I'm proud that I'm able to pull off. That I don't think it comes off too preachy, because I'm not telling, I don't know. I email in if you, fucking, guys, coronavirus, I don't have shit to do. Email in. We can make podcasts out of the emails. Yeah, let's move forward. But before that, I like that moment. I like that moment, and I think that those are the moments that might make me stand out relative to other. I need to stop saying relative. It's not making me sound smarter. I don't read enough to be saying relative. The only books I read are comedy books and biographies about other comedians. I'm not reading science books. I'm not reading textbooks from college that I should have thrown away.
And does anybody here have, like, for real baggage? Like, their life has been kind of difficult? Anybody? Yeah? Okay, y'all, okay. For me, I feel like I carry my baggage along with me, and it's made me an unstable person. And something about unstable people is that when you're an unstable person, you attract other unstable people. What you do. Like, has anybody here ever been to a Denny's at 2 a.m.? It's fuck. Oh, I see the hair. I see the hair. You're already going. As soon as I heard his voice, I was like, instability. Perfect. You get exactly what I'm doing. Dude, Denny's at 2 a.m., it's just crackheads and theater kids. It's fucking crazy. Dude, the amount of freaks that go into a Denny's at 2, they should be playing Monster Mash on repeat. It's fucking insane.
All right, I really like this part too. This, like, I get momentum. There's this energy, there's this passion, but it's not angry. The crowd work with that guy who yelled out, he was on my side. He was agreeing with me, and it was a yes and. That was an improv thing. Yes and of he's in technically he's heckling, but he's just yelling out because he's agreeing with me. And I think I handled that well there. And you're going to even, I think after, I haven't listened to it yet, but I think after this part, that build up continues. And the tags were perfectly timed there. Like, I hit the punchline, laughter. As soon as the laughter starts to go down, you start tagging it up so that the laughter goes back up. And then as soon as it starts, you tag it up again, hit him with another joke. There was like a wave, there's a flow there that I really liked that I hope continues.
And I would jump into stupid relationships with other unstable people, and we would do unstable people shit. Like, sorry, he's still relating to what I'm saying. What's up? No, it's all good. I'm gonna continue expressing my feelings. Give me a second. All right.
So you can't really hear it because of where the phone was placed. And, you know, if you're an audience member, if you're someone who's not a comic and you're listening to this, when you're on stage, it's weird. You can hear and see everything, and you can see, you're picking up on stuff that the audience, from their perspective, isn't picking up on. And that dude, even though he was in the back, he was talking because he was still enjoying the joke, and he was talking about Denny's. I could see him still enjoying it. But him talking was loud enough to throw the rest of the stuff off. So I wanted to, like, interact with him and make sure that we were still on the same page, but that he would pay attention some more. And I think I like the way I do crowd work. That's something that I'm going to pat myself on the back with. Like, as long as I don't lose my temper or freak out on somebody, I think the way I do crowd work makes people comfortable and makes them want to keep listening. They feel like we're on the same team, and as annoying as it can be, they feel like they're a part of the show. They feel like I know he left that feeling like he contributed in his own weird way. And that's a good thing. That's a good feeling. Like, I want people to feel good when they're listening to me talk about sad shit. And so I think it fucked with the flow a little bit, but I don't know. I'll see if I'm able to get it back at all.
Unstable people shit. Like arguing in public at an Olive Garden. Yo, it is the perfect place to be an unstable couple, right? Because it's like one step below Red Lobster and one step above Hometown Buffet. It's that perfect middle ground. Because at Red Lobster, you can't raise your voice, but at Hometown Buffet, you can drown your wife in the soup if she pisses you off enough. She talks back, I don't know. Like, arguing at an Olive Garden, it's like owning an above ground pool. You should be embarrassed that you have an above ground pool. But you still have a pool. Like I said, middle ground, you know what I mean?
All right, yeah, it definitely lost momentum after that, which sucks. But it didn't, I didn't completely lose the crowd. It just definitely lost momentum there. And that the thing I talked about in the other analysis of the wagon wheel and trying to find that tag where it was too similar to Bill Burr, I was still figuring it out. I'm still going to have to keep figuring it out. I think I'm going to have to just keep playing with how I say that. And that's just going to be one of those things where I just get on stage and fuck with it a little more.
And I feel like over the years I fucked up because I've wasted all of this creative energy I had chasing girls. So I fucked up, man. It was like I had a can of diesel fuel, but instead of pouring it in my gas tank, I just funneled it down vaginas for 7 years. I got nowhere, they got UTIs, nobody won. And I think to myself, what could I have been if I had started working on comedy 10 years ago instead of chasing fucking girls like an idiot? What could I have been, you know? Like, you wanna know what Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg all have in common? Is that they weren't hunting pussy at 18. They weren't going to bars with button-up t-shirts, spraying themselves with fucking Old Spice because they took that commercial too seriously. Just nodding politely while some girl talks about how she's a Scorpio for hours on end.
All right, there we go. That was a moment of a little bit of riffing, a little bit of playing with it. I had the punch was clear, then just expanding on it. So I had my premise, built my little tree trunk, hit him with the punch, and then expanded with the branches, which is good. I think the expanding and the flow of it could be better, and you know that's just going to take practice. But I like where I was going with that.
And I got the light, so I got like a little bit of time left. And I wrote this recently, and I want to see how bad it bombs. No, I want to see if it resonates with anybody here. And I really put a lot of effort into this, all right? Okay. I believe a man with no regrets is a man who never took chances. And a man with regrets has dated a stripper. What type of man are you? Are you the type with a wife with a good father figure? Are you the type with a girlfriend who cries after she calls you daddy? What type of man are you? I'm Aaron Chase. Have a good night.
All right, I think I've done that man with no regrets joke enough without doing that preemptive stuff in the beginning. So I think that'll make that joke work a little better, help me stick the landing. I think the only thing that saved that moment was that makeshift tag at the end. I wrote a little bit of it, but it got a little bit of a laugh before I ended, so I'm glad that I did that. Overall, I would say that I was proud of the set considering the environment and the situation. The recording doesn't do justice of how well it went. Like when you listen to this, I think the average person listening to this is going to be like, it fucking sucked. That wasn't anything like what I see on Netflix. You know, but it's a different thing. I think that the jokes, like my jokes have a clear structure and a clear cadence about them. But luckily, in between the jokes, the riffing and me just talking, it allows for the set to not feel too repetitive. That playing in the middle makes it so that it has a little bit of an edge. It's kind of sloppy in a good way. I just have to continue to improve on those skills. But when you listen to the jokes themselves, they have a really similar cadence about them that might be concerning. I'm probably going to have to work on that. But yeah, fucking email. I don't know. I'm not doing anything. So yeah, that was a set.